as new auditor for National Judicial Council. Details now. The world news begins with the National Bureau of Statistics revealing that Nigeria's headline inflation rate reached a 20-year peak of 28.2% in November. The National Bureau of Statistics has revealed that Nigeria's headline inflation rate reached a 20-year peak of 28.2% in November. The NBS also revealed this in its latest publication today, December 15, noting that the figure is higher than the October 2023 headline inflation rate of 27.33%. The latest record is the highest recorded inflation rate based on data obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria's website. It is worth noting that the bank's collection data began in 2023. Additionally, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics stated that the food inflation rate has also risen to 32.84% on a year-on-year basis, marking an increase of 8.72 percentage points compared to the rate recorded in November 2022. In November 2023, the food inflation rate experienced a month-on-month increase of 2.42%, marking a 0.51% rise compared to the date observed in October 2023. This upward trend was primarily attributed to the surge in average prices of essential food items such as bread and cereal, oil and fat, meat, coffee, tea and cocoa, potato, yam and other tubers. Furthermore, the core inflation, which excludes the prices of volatile agricultural produce and energy, stood at 22.38% on a year-on-year basis. While in politics, following the recent political tension in Rivers State, Governor Similai Fubara has finally spoken out, vowing to continue protecting the interests of people in the state. In a video clip posted on his verified X handle, formerly known as Twitter, the governor expressed his gratitude to the people of Rivers State. He pledged to run an inclusive government that upholds the principles of justice and fairness for all, regardless of class or position. This statement comes against the backdrop of political tension in the state. This has seen 9 members of Governor Fubara's cabinet resign and the defection of 27 members of the State Assembly from the ruling People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress within the week. Following the defection of the lawmakers, the state government ordered the demolition of the assembly complex. The government cited the need to rebuild a suitable structure following an arson attack that occurred on October 29, 2023. The defecting lawmakers are reportedly being backed by the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, an immediate past governor of the state, Nyesom Wike. The governor and the minister of the FCT are reportedly in a battle over the control of the state's political structure. Elsewhere, the lawmaker representing Abia South Senatorial District, Ijeoma Egwuatu, has reacted to the Supreme Court ruling against the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Kanu. The Apex Court had overturned the decision of the appeal court which granted Kanu's release from the Department of State Services. In a statement few hours after the judgment today, Egwuatu called for calm, assuring that Southeast leaders will vigorously pursue a political solution that would ultimately set him free. Senator Egwuatu has called for calm and implored the Southeast not to despair over the outcome at the Supreme Court. The senator, who once stood as Kanu shorty, also expressed shock over the sudden death of an ex-governor of Anambra State, Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezife, describing it as a great fall of an Iroko tree in Igbo land and Nigeria. Senator Egwuatu lamented that Okwadike's death has once more robbed Igbo and Nigeria of a consummate advocate of people's right and equality for all. He said Ezife spent his life, particularly in later days on earth, preaching for equity, justice, fairness and good governance in Nigeria, especially was most vocal on the Igbo question and their place in the Niger project. Now on Nnamdi Kanu's situation, let's listen to some political stalwarts react to the Supreme Court ruling earlier today, which really not give a lot of people recourse.
That the path to peace is endless incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is deceiving you. Yes. That person is enjoying the crisis, the killing and destruction in the East. Let's find a way. The president has been a Democrat, advocated for justice, equity, and fairness. Even in Nedeko, issues of Nedeko, all about issues of constitutional rights, fairness, equity, and justice. This is what And thank God that the Supreme Court has also ruled today that the invasion of his house in Omahia was also illegal. And also, the Supreme Court has also agreed that he ought not to have been denied his bail. Despite the final conclusion of not granting him bail today, the president, riding on this extract from the ruling of the Supreme Court today, Kanu as the father of the nation, issue a broadcast and then issue knowledge, discontinue the trial and grant him unconditional bail and commence the process for political and political solutions to the matter. So that at the end of the day, every part of Nigeria can come together on that principle of justice, equity, and fairness. So it's not, we didn't lose anything today. But it's also surprising that the final conclusion we were expecting was not made. But it's also victory for us that the Supreme Court agrees that the rendition from Kenya, it was illegal, and that the invasion of his house in Omahia is also illegal, and that he ought not to have been denied his bail. So it is victory for all of us who love democracy, justice, and fairness, despite that the fact that the Supreme Court have also refused releasing him by allowing the appeal by the federal government. But the president still have a role to play. That's why we're appealing to the president to exercise his constitutional power. Going by the extract from this positive extract from the judgment of the Supreme Court today is to issue knowledge and discontinue the trial and initiate the process for political resolution. Anybody that is telling you that the path to peace is endless incarceration of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is deceiving you. Yes. That person is enjoying the crisis, the killing and destruction in the East. Let's find a way. The president has been a Democrat, advocated for justice, equity, and fairness. Even in Nedeko, issues of Nedeko, all about issues of constitutional rights, fairness, equity, and justice. This is what we have known the president over the years for. And we expect him, as somebody who has championed rule of law, as a Democrat, as a leading member of Nedeko, to understand the circumstances we're operating in today and use his presidential power and issue knowledge so that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu can go home and we can now open the window and opportunity for final political resolution of this matter. Thank you.
There is no other way. We had hoped that it would come our way, but it has gone the other way. It simply means that we have to go back to the High Court and get on with it quickly. We still have hope. We are not in despair.
By the grace of God,
yes. So
victory is assured.
Yes, we will. We will lose a little time. We still have to go back. That's all it means. But I'm very consoled by what the Supreme Court said, that he ought not to have been treated the way he was treated. His bail ought not to have been revoked. His home ought to have been invaded. All that is a consolation to us. So we have hope. Thank you very much.
As you have all observed what happened today at the Supreme Court, if you ask me, I would say this is victory to administration of criminal justice, because it shows that once you are an accused person, once you are a defendant, no matter what excuse you want to bring to hide under the law to say that you should not legislation that will vitiate the court from trying a defendant that has committed a crime. You must be tried for. You saw that it impaired on the fundamental rights of the defendant. However, our laws have made very clear provision for remedy. Where there is such infraction on the right of the defendant, then you can the defendant can go to the civil court and then seek for civil remedies for the violation of his fundamental rights. And that is why, of course, we have the fundamental right enforcement, for which the defendant, the respondent, which is the defendant in this case, have actually activated. And you are aware that he has gone to civil court and he has gotten some judgments, which is still subject of as to whether or not his fundamental rights have actually been infracted or infringed upon.
Thank you very much.
were actually listening to Senior Advocate of Nigeria speaking on the recent Supreme Court ruling on Nnamdi Kanu, as well as other Igbo political stalwarts reacting or giving their perception to what the Supreme Court had talked about today concerning Nnamdi Kanu's continued detention. All right, moving on to other stories before we call in our analyst this evening. The political crisis in Rivers State between Governor Simlai Fubara and the FCT minister took a new dimension today. So, 9 appointees have so far resigned their positions and who were nominated by Wike before the minister fell out with Governor Fubara a few months ago. Out of the 9 commissioners, 5 served under Wike's administration in the same capacity as Wike was Wike's chief of staff for 8 years. Now, in a recent development, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olikaide Ariwola, has appointed his younger brother, Adebayo Ariwola, as the new auditor for the National Judicial Council. Also, the appointment places the younger brother, Mr. Ariwola, in a key position overseeing the internal audit unit of the NJC, a role with substantial authority to ensure financial integrity and responsibility within the Commission. He is now responsible for evaluating the Commission's internal controls, scrutinizing accounting processes, and ensuring compliance with legal standards. Justice Ariwola, who holds a position of near supreme authority with vast powers within the judiciary, now has a direct family link to the head of a crucial oversight unit, arguably the only unit capable of exercising independence and effectively checking and balancing any excesses within the CJN's domain. Also, Mr. Ariwola's appointment, despite his relationship with the Chief Justice, amplifies concerns surrounding potential conflicts of interest and could be reflecting a stealth consolidation of power within the judiciary in ways that raise questions about the internal transparency that is fundamental to the integrity of any institution. Mr. Onuma, who coordinates the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, said the perception carries weight and that the Chief Justice should ordinarily be aware of this. Mr. Ariwola was previously an accountant with the NJC before his promotion to the top-level role. An Action Public Affairs analyst, Lanre Siraj, believes should be given the benefit of the doubt. All right. Right now, I have via the telephone a legal practitioner, a social and political affairs commentator, and that is Barrister Darlington. All right, Mr. Darlington, good evening and welcome to VOP World News at 6.
Yeah, Esther, how are you today?
I am fine. I'm so fine. Thank you so much for coming on this evening. Mr. Darlington, I'm sure you've heard the Supreme Court ruling on Nnamdi Kanu earlier today. It has generated quite a lot of reaction from several quarters. Others believe that it's a good thing. Others believe that this was machinated or planned for before now. Well, the Supreme Court also, in its own, in its own discretion, gave a verdict today. And they actually said that the federal government did not do well when they extradited Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. But they said the case should go to the Federal High Court. They advised Nnamdi Kanu to go to the Federal High Court, and that from that place he should issue, write a civil summon against the federal government for what they did to him. Possibly from the High Court they can commence from there. So the question is, how does the Supreme Court give 2 different scenarios in one ruling? The first one being the fact that they reprimanded the federal government for what they did. They reprimanded the fact that Nnamdi Kanu's house was burnt. They reprimanded the fact that despite the fact that he was asked to be released on bail, he wasn't given that release. But at the same time, they're saying that the case will continue in trial because he's been charged with something as massive as terrorism. What's your take on that?
In fact, Esther, I am surprised, though. I'm really surprised at what the Supreme Court is becoming these days. The ruling of our Supreme Court is becoming unbecoming. Seriously. You have a case before you, and you have seen all the infractions of this young man's rights by the federal government. Instead of you to do the needful, you now say that he should go back again to the lower court. I mean, does it mean that the Supreme Court have no power to do what it's supposed to do, or is the Supreme Court under intimidation of somebody? I cannot explain why the Supreme Court cannot handle a matter before it. How can it be speaking from both sides of our mouth, saying that yes, Nnamdi Kanu was not supposed to have been rendition from Kenya, It is not right for his house to have been invaded. It is not right for them to deny his bail. I mean, having seen all these things, you were supposed to take immediate action on the matter. Because justice delayed is justice denied. What was the Supreme Court trying to say? So what's his hands off the Kanu case or what? I don't understand. The Supreme Court is trying to tell me that they are now property of somebody who is telecasting them. If not, I don't see why they find it, they cannot take decision on this matter. Esther, I don't know why the Supreme Court cannot take decision on this matter. What they said is very appalling. So, if the Supreme Court said to take a decision on the matter, is it the appeal court now that will do that? Tell me. They are just doing your with this young man's life. It will go to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will take it to the appeal court. Appeal court will now say, okay, take it to the High Court. For what? I will tell you that ab initio, they have nothing against them, the Kanu. Did you remember that they said in our laws we don't have the law to try Nnamdi Kanu on rendition? The court said it. There is no law in our laws that will handle this matter. The court will say so clearly. So what are they denying this man bail for?
That's the question, Mr. Darlington. Because according to what the Supreme Court said today, that despite the fact that they know the federal government erred, because I was expecting the Supreme Court to call out punitive measures on the federal government for what they did to Nnamdi Kanu, possibly ask the federal government to obey the initial court order, which asks that he be granted bail or possibly attend to court cases from his home. So I was surprised that the court just put that aside in a casual way, and then after saying that they did know that he was forcefully brought back against all known laws, they used the same breath to say that it is not enough to divest the trial court of its jurisdiction to continue with the case, and that there is no legislation in the country that stripped the trial court of the jurisdiction to go ahead with Kanu's case, despite the illegal action that the federal government took against him. So it almost feels like the Supreme Court was speaking from both sides, and I don't know if that is permissible.
That is where some of us are confused. Esther, that is where some of us are confused. I cannot the position of the Supreme Court on this matter right now. I cannot explain. I am telling you, by the time this matter gets to that article, you will see what they will say. You will see what they will tell you that they are just playing hanky-panky with these guys' human rights. There is no other explanation. There is somebody pulling the string from somewhere. The Supreme Court cannot tell me that they rendered this judgment willingly and on their own. Because I have never heard of this type of thing before. That means in the same breath, the Supreme Court will pass two judgments on Nnamdi Kanu. That is the meaning. They pass two judgments on this young man's life today. So which one are we going to obey?
Some critics have said that the Nigerian Judicial Council, some critics have said that, Mr. Darlington, some critics have said that our judiciary has broken the record of all known ways of giving their affirmations or convictions on cases. Would you believe?
I am telling you, that is the truth. In fact, when they found his mic or second SAN, yes. I was shocked. I was shocked. Our courts are becoming something else. I am telling you, something is happening in our court that nobody has never explained to some of us. This type of judgment, it is unheard of in the history of judiciary. It is unheard of. We are talking two rulings, two judgments in one day on a man. What are you saying? Since you know that the federal government has committed all these infractions, are you not supposed to take decision as the highest court? Why you remain referring you back to another court again? As if you have no power, or that somebody has told you not to do this. That is the meaning. That's my own meaning. That's my own understanding of this matter. Somebody has told the Supreme Court not to do his duty. That is the truth. The Supreme Court cannot deny it. This is the two judgments in one day on a man. It's something they did in Kanu. Yes, sir, something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong completely with our court. Because in the history of the judiciary, nothing of this sort has happened in our Supreme Court. Nothing of this sort. Nothing. I don't know how they will explain it in future. It's so sad. Very, very sad. It's my own understanding, and the understanding of any legal mind is that the Kanu have no case to answer. The federal government are embarrassed by what they did. They are just looking for somebody who will do their bidding, and they have found a way in Supreme Court to do that. There's no explanation.
So does this bring to question all the ruling that the courts have been given ever since the February 25 elections, which a lot of legal minds have questioned as to what aspect of their judgment, what angle that they can defend the judgments they've been dishing out recently, because the ruling of today put a lot of question mark, because at the end of the day it almost feels like they told Nnamdi Kanu and his team to start afresh. Is that what it means? He needs to start afresh, go back again to lower court, rewrite, resummon, reinstitute the case, and it begins from ground up?
Exactly. And you and I know that justice delayed, justice denied. I am telling you that they have nothing against Nnamdi Kanu. That is why these things are going on. There is no other explanation. If not, why can't they go into trial? Let me see that law they will use against Nnamdi Kanu. There is nothing like that. The court said it is herself. The courts are good at Nnamdi Kanu have no case to answer. So all this going back to in fact they will take it to magistrate court. Answer. They will refer this matter to magistrate court or even to family court to tell you how the whole thing has become a mockery. A mockery. Look at that. I was thinking they're going to say something tangible against him. Nothing. After saying that I have not had to do that, then what are you supposed to do as a court? The first court for that matter. Answer. I am so sad talking about this matter. Seriously, I am so sad. I never knew that Nigeria can descend into this abyss. I never knew. Not to top of our court. The last hope of the common man. Look at it. People will take us into their hand now. They will say, why? You are about to court and look at what the court is doing. You are about to court now to get judged. Look at what the court is doing. It's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Darlington. I appreciate your input. I would also call you back for the evening rush, which will commence by 7 o'clock, for you to give us your perception on some of the hot topics that will be talked about right on here.
No problem.
So have yourself a wonderful
problem. But I am completely sad, yes, sir. I am completely sad, seriously. Because the whole world is watching.
Yes.
And this is the place you want the international community to come and invest in your country. You can imagine, you are doing this to your citizens. What about an outsider? That's what they be thinking. If they can be doing this type of judgment on their own citizens, what do you think they will do to us if we come and invest here? It's so sad. Esther, it is so sad.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Darlington. All right. And please do not be sad. Let's hope that the system would get better. All right. In order to wrap up the world news at 6, here again are the top stories. Nigeria's headline inflation rate hits 28.2%. Rivers Governor Fubara breaks silence following recent political tension in the state. Abaribe reacts to Supreme Court's judgment on Nnamdi Kanu. 9 commissioners dump Fubara in 24 hours. CJN Ariwola appoints younger brother Adebayo Ariwola as new auditor for National Judicial Council. That's a wrap on the world news at 6, right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachuku. Do have yourself a wonderful evening. The evening rush commences at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned with us.